Here we are again, folks. This is Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. If you will look up the date, 12/10 of 2012, 10th month and the 12th day of 2012, you will find this excerpt. This is the second one in a series of 3 on the Lord's Prayer. I could do 30 on the Lord's Prayer. One thing we see in the Lord's Prayer, going right now to the end of it rather than the beginning. I'll quickly read it from beginning to end, and then we will talk about it again. The first thing we did was we recognized our Father. The second thing we did, we recognized where He was, which is in heaven. The third thing we did was we adorned Him by saying, "Hallowed be thy name." And then what we did is we had some anticipation of what was going to happen one day with the Lord. Thy kingdom come. Which, by the way, when Jesus came, His kingdom came from heaven to the earth in a form of a bodily man, Jesus Christ. He was the flesh part of God. We can go back to chapter 8 of Proverbs and find out where Jesus, calling Himself wisdom, which He was pure. Jesus was the wisdom of God come in the flesh on the earth. Now, thy kingdom come. And then we have something here that is called consecration. That means we understand the fact that Jesus hears our prayer, sees us, knows where we are at all times, and knows who we are, each individual. You say, well, how does He know each one of us like He does? Well, I don't know if this is good terminology or not, but if you've got a litter of puppies, and you got 2 females in there, and you call them Jane and Joan, and then you got 3 males in there, and you call them John, Jacob, and Joseph, and here you got Joan and Jane and John, Jacob, and Joseph. Within a few days, you know every single one of those puppies and their attributes and what they do and all about them, and you call them by name. But you know what's funny? They all look alike. And there's a whole group, but yet you know them. And that's the same way God is with His children. Jesus is with His children. It matters not how many there is. It matters not the 7 billion. 7 billion doesn't shake the eternal God who made every one of them and saw them from their mother's womb throughout their life. No, that is God. Now, in earth, we said, thy kingdom come, and then we said the consecration part was thy will be done. That would be in our life, thy will be done for the day, and we said that. Now, universally is what? We said the word us was in the Lord's Prayer. There was no word me. So universally, we're asking for us, the whole world, God give us this day, and there we go. Now we're definite. Now we got a definite thing we're asking this day. This very day, we're asking Him this very day to give us what we need. And then we say a necessity, our daily bread. That is the necessity for the day. We are human beings. Food was made for the belly, and the belly was made for food. Food was made to nourish a man, and man was made to need the nourishment. So therefore, this side of gluttony, that means to eat just for taste. Now there are many people that eat just for taste, and they love that taste, and they go back again and again and again and again just for the taste, so that their taste buds will be tantalized, and ultimately they swell up and they become 200-300 pounders, and that's not necessary for a man to weigh that much to live, and especially not good for him to be comfortable in life. So we need to be careful there, that we don't overdo this daily bread that we ask for. And then the penance. The penance part of the prayer is to ask God to forgive us. Forgive us of what? Forgive us, just being human, forgive us of our selfishness. Forgive us of our way that we would walk in life that would not be circumspectly or not come up to what God would have us to do. We need to set some boundaries in our life. We need to set some times. We need to set some things. We need to follow some routines that would cause us to be godly people. Otherwise, we'll find ourselves flopping all over the place. We'll be like an octopus out of the water. An octopus in the water with all of his many tentacles can swim and do all kinds of things in the water. You take him out of the water and put him on the land. He's not a dry land animal, and he is going to have a hard time. You and I are in a world that we're not of, and if we try to live by the world's doings and the way the world is, we'll be like an octopus out of water. A squid. Take a squid out of water and lay him on the ground. When he's in the water, he's swelled up, nice and round, and he uses his little tentacles and he floats around and he does things. Take him out, lay him on the ground, he's just a flat thing. He can't breathe, he can't do anything. He's going to die in that position. That's like a man who has asked Jesus to forgive him of his sin, come in his heart and save his soul, and then tries to live in the world again. Now that's going to kill him on a daily basis. He will be like a dead man in a sense of the word. Then we have an obligation. And the obligation in our life as Christians is our debts. If we have debts. For instance, I have a house payment, we'll say. It is my duty to pay that house payment, to pay that debt. I believe that today, the collapse of the economical system of people not being able to pay their house debt is that they have not followed the prayer that God gave us, that Jesus gave us in Matthew 6 and 9. If we were to follow that prayer on a daily basis, we would have our answer. We would have answer to our prayer. It's a forgiveness as we forgive. Forgiveness is as we forgive. There is another place in the Bible that Jesus says, if you do not forgive your brother on the earth, you will not be forgiven for not forgiving your brother over that matter. So you will have a matter in your life that you're not forgiven for in the flesh, in a sense, and you will suffer in the flesh for that non-forgiveness. And that won't be a suffering in heaven. That will be a suffering on the flesh and on the earth. But there will be a penalty in the reward system for that. Now look, love and mercy for our debtors. He said, forgive our debts as we forgive our debtors. Now that is love and mercy, that we would forgive our debtors. Throughout my life I have had dozens and dozens and hundreds of people borrow from me that never ever returned what they borrowed. Never returned what they borrowed. I forgive them. I have to forgive them. I have to say, God, forgive them. I forgive them of that. And I do forgive them of that. If some of that was to come back today, it certainly would help us in this life today. But salvation, give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation. That is asking God for protection from temptation. From protection from temptation. Boy, you got to keep your mind on the Lord. Hey, if you're tempted to do something, keep your mind on the Lord. Now, you know, I used to smoke a pipe. And somebody could walk by me smoking a pipe. And, you know, that sweet aroma, they got some apple tobacco in there or something. And that sweet aroma would catch my nose and I'd say, ooh, boy, I miss that day of smoking that pipe. Well, do you know that's a physical thing that was pleasurable but deadly to your body. and so it was not a thing God, I don't believe, would have me do. I don't know about you, but he would not have me be smoking a pipe. And so therefore I had to take that part out of my life and the temptation of it. But deliver us. Salvation is what we're asking for. Daily, minutely, hourly, minute by minute. The salvation, being saved from the way of the world. Being saved from the ways of the world. Living in the world but not being part of the world. We are strangers and pilgrims in this earth. We are set apart. We are to be set apart in the righteousness of God from evil. Being set apart. And then it goes on to say, deliver us from evil. That is the righteousness of God. Now, to live separate from evil is to live in the righteousness of God. Now, how do you do that, Brother Peter? Well, you do it on a minute-by-minute basis. You're going to, every single minute of your life, you're going to face a decision. Every minute is going to be a decision come up. You say, that's only 60 seconds. Right. 60 seconds is 1 minute. In 1 minute, you could destroy your whole testimony. It would only take 30 seconds to destroy your testimony as far as you being clean and being the husband of one wife and being proper. It would only take 60 seconds with another woman for a man to ruin his total life and his reputation and everything else. 60 little seconds. That's all it would take. And I'm telling you, stay away from those situations. You people who work in offices, stay away from the female contact. If you're a female, stay away from the male contact. It's at home is where you belong to each other, not at work. Be careful. Be careful to satisfy each other at home, not just physically, but mentally and spiritually, and go on the proper diet of the love situation at home. Keep the fires burning and keep the home front proper, and you will not fall into this evil. It says, now, for thine is the kingdom. That is faith. Saying this, for thine is the kingdom, that is faith. We're looking at 16 things right here in this Lord's Prayer. There are 16 things here in the Lord's Prayer. There are 7 petitions in the Lord's Prayer, and in those 7 petitions there are 16 things that we're looking at. And those 16 things are, and I don't know where my notes are, but those 16 things are things that we ask personally from God. And then we go in after faith, we have humility. And we say, God, you are the power. That's humbling ourselves to the power of God through prayer. And saying, it's all you, God. It has nothing to do with me. It's all you. I tell you what you do. You want to see God in his pure form. Look at him looking at Job. Look at God speaking to the devil and saying, have you tried my servant Job? Now he knew Job from the end to the beginning. He knew if the devil came, took Job's whole family, took everything Job owned, everything but his life, put him in misery. He sat in a pile of ashes, scraping boils off of his body. And his wife said, why don't you just curse God and die, Job? And Job said, though he slay me, I'll not curse him. And he knew that God had to take the hand of protection off of him for the devil to do what he did to him. But God was merciful. God gave Job twice what Job had. And by the way, we do not know what Job's position in heaven is, but I'll guarantee you it's going to be a great position, and not just temporary. That'll be forever. Forever. That'll be forever. My time is about coming on. I must hurry. It says, for thine is the kingdom and the power. Now listen to this. Reverence and the glory. Reverencing God and the glory. And then reverencing him for timeless, forever. We're reverencing him forever. And then the affirmation is amen. Now let me tell you what. I just did an excerpt before this. I'm going to do another one in a minute on the Lord's Prayer. Some of those words I say will cross over each other. They will be like repeating themselves. But what I want you to know today, that you need to be able to know and pray the Lord's Prayer every single morning before your feet hit the floor. It's Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. See you next time.